non-refugee population of 199,303 in the 2014 Uganda census. Terego District has also hosts an estimate of 168 refugees, mostly from South Sudan in the Imvempi refugee settlement and the western zone of Rhino Camp refugee settlement in the district. Now, the geography of Terego. Terego District is located in the West Nile region in the northern Uganda and is a new district created out of Arua district. It borders the district of Yumbe to the north, Madiokolo to the east, Arua to the south, and Maracha to the west. The district is drained by seasonal tributaries of the Albert Nile, such as Enyao River. At least from there you can know that Terego is located somewhere in West Nile. Some bit of history about Terego. The district is contiguous with the former Terego County, which was part of Arua district in 2006. That year, Maracha and Terego counties were separated from Arua district to form Maracha Terego district after nearly 5 years of disagreement on where the headquarters of the district should be located. Terego opted to return back to Arua district, leaving Maracha County to form Maracha district on its own. And in May 2020, Parliament approved the creation of Terego district, which went into effect on the 1st July of 2020. That's some bit of history about Terego. Okay, it looks like we are not having the chairman complete the connection. So we're going to use an alternative here of having the chairman speak through my microphone on the host. All right. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Great. We are glad to hear you're on call. And let me make sure that you can speak through an alternative so that we are good to go. All right, are you there?
Yes, Miss Sylivin. Are we ready to go? Yes.
Thank you, Chairman, for joining in today in this conversation, and we are glad that you are connecting. Right, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Sylivin.
Great.
Are we ready to go? Yes.
Thank you, Chairman, for joining in today in this conversation, and we are glad that you are connecting. Right, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, Sylivin.
Great.
Are we ready to go? Yes.
Thank you,
The
Chairman.
volume is too high. The volume is too high.
Yeah, these things do happen, but we have got to resolve them. Again, thank you so much, Chairman, for coming in. I would like to request that we get to the point, we get to the part of this very conversation. Let's, again, thank you so much, Chairman, for coming in. I would like to request that we get to the point, we get to the part of this very conversation. Let's.
Sylivin, is that you speaking?
Something you're not doing right. The point is the part of this very conversation.
Sylivin, is that you speaking?
It is coming from your side. You have opened two devices. So I would like to suggest that since you are not able to speak on Twitter Spaces, just leave the Twitter Spaces leave Twitter Spaces aside. I'll use my mic here to host you, so that you will still come through Twitter Spaces. Is that clear? Leave the Twitter Spaces. I will use the same mic here. Just stay on Zoom.
Okay. Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, better.
Sylivin, is that better now?
It is better. Okay.
Okay.
You're welcome, Chairman.
Thank you, Sylivin.
Great.
First of all, I want to welcome everybody to this conversation.
You're welcome, Chairman.
Thank you, Sylivin.
Thank you, Sylivin.
Would you like to? It's still not okay.
Emmanuel. Chairman.
Yes, I'm getting you.
Just leave your phone which has Twitter Spaces. Just stay on Zoom. Stay on Zoom.
Okay.
Leave the other device, stay on Zoom. Is that all right?
Is it okay now?
Yeah. Okay. Chairman, you are welcome.
Thank you. The cat has gone mute. I'm not hearing you.
Let's go direct to the conversation.
All right.
And I would like you to introduce yourself.
My name is Wilfred Saka. I am the district chairman for Terego, and Terego is the youngest district in Uganda. I won elections on Alliance for National Transformation ticket, and I think I am the only district chairperson on that ticket in the whole country. And at the same time, I formally also introduced myself as Secretary for Education and Health in the district. So that's my background, and that's what I am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chairman. And thank you for that brief, direct, precise introduction. Let me ask the quick question here. How did you manage to win the 2020-2021 elections? And how is your relationship with the candidates that you were competing with?
An election, Sylivin, an election is not an event. An election is a process that you must start preparing yourself for as early as possible. The moment you get the impression that you want to stand, you must start the electioneering process straight away, and that's what I did. Whereas there are big shots in the district, a minister who did not want me to go through, but I think he came very late when I had already completed my electioneering process. So what does that mean? The touch with the voter himself. While I was still working actively in the NGO, I was busy greeting the voters around. I was working in Yumbe, but every weekend I was at home, sitting under my mango trees, greeting everybody who passes by, sharing the little tea with them, and also sharing the few community functions with them, like fundraisings and the burials, and also community activities like school participating in making sure activities on school improvement plan as succeed, and also making sure sometimes I attend the court cases run by LC1 systems. So for me, this was not something that was difficult, but something that I had prepared for. So the time those who came with the candidates, I think I was already somewhere. Those initially I had not intended to run, because I think if it is money, the money the NGO was giving me was more than the current money I'm getting as an LC5 chairman. Chairman in this country, I want to say they improved the LC1 chairperson, LC1 chairman. You call me LC5 chairman, but I am an improved LC1 chairman, or the headmaster of LC1 chairman. So the salary is nothing that we should talk about here, because this purely is voluntary service to our people. So if the people decided that I should be their leader, they meant it. In fact, as I said, I didn't want to run for this position. I was more comfortable with the NGO work because there was more money there. But a delegation went on seeing that there was danger coming for the district. An individual wanting to impose a person with a questionable background onto the LC5 chairman was a real risk and danger for the people. And they started sending delegations to me, and the first 2 delegations, I would not say yes, but the third one I had to, because the question they asked was, now that you have refused to come and rescue us, in future, if you choose to run and we also run away from you, what would be your feeling? So once they said this, I had to bow in, and they said I was available, and that's how it happened.
Thank you.
And my relationship with my former contestants is not bad. A number of them continue to send me messages. Here you will do like this, here you could do the other way, this and that. And then some of them have also been supporting them, especially where one falls sick. I really support for this kind of person. So I think my relationship with them is not bad.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chairman, for that communication. We are glad to hear that your relationship is not bad. And certainly we know in Alliance for National Transformation, one of the core values is tolerance, listening to other people as you hope they will also listen to you. Now, the next question is coming to your district. Your district is largely occupied by a number of refugees per square meter compared to the rest of the district where there are refugees. What challenges are you experiencing to that effect? And how are you managing that influx?
The influx of refugees, many people think it is a privilege, but this is to state that it is a real burden. It is a really burden because you look at the environment now, it is depleted. WFP, meaning World Food Program that has been supporting refugees with the food ration, has cut food supply by 40%, and they are now doing what is called prioritization, meaning those refugees they assume can now look after themselves are put off the food ration, and they are left to survive on their own, which is a distant dream from the reality. Because this is happening, those who are affected, refugees who are affected, look at the environment as source of survival, source of livelihood, and they are really on the forests, cutting trees massively, burning charcoal, and on my Twitter account, if you check, that's the first thing I've posted. We are really suffering from that perspective too. The huge numbers are now scrambling over the meager resources If you go to schools, you now see schools that have 3,000 plus children in one location with very few teachers, few scholastic materials, few classrooms, infrastructure generally. Thirdly, you go to health sector, the same. The health facilities are inadequate to manage the numbers. I give you one example. Health Center 4 is supposed to be for 100,000 people, but the host population is 268,000, 69,000, 600. 269,600, relying on one health center 4 without a district hospital. You add the number of these, the refugees, that's already 430-something thousand being served by one health center 4. That is already a challenge. So services are inadequate to sustain this number. That is the challenge we are facing as a district. And that's the challenge that comes the numbers of refugees that we are hosting.
So it is not an advantage, but is a challenge. And unfortunately, us as Ugandans, we tend to think where there is a refugee, a source of a livelihood, there's money. That's the kind of attitude that we have.
It is a challenge. Why we have accepted to host refugees is because we have also been refugees on that compound called the South Sudan. Our people of West Nile ran into exile, and the places were that time Sudan and the Congo Zaire. So we are simply reciprocating what they did to us, hosting us when we had the challenges back at home here. But of course, that comes with now huge burden, the burden of sharing the resources and the services with them. And if you talk about environment, environment has a direct correlation with livelihood. If you don't have trees, there will be no rains. If there are no rains, you can't grow crops. If there are no crops, you can't feed. If you can't feed, what is the next thing for you? The next thing is going 6 feet down. And that's the burden we are slightly drifting towards, especially now at an advent of Ukraine war. Global now, the talk is fundraising for rebuilding Europe. Africa, Uganda, Terego refugee situation is now forgotten. So you are likely to start hearing that people are dying in Terego because of lack of food. Because the support which used to be there is no more. People are now surviving on environment, and the rains are also not there now to support agriculture. And that is the direct relationship I was talking about. So how are we coping up with? Yes.
Go ahead.
How are we coping up with that situation? First of all, we have a few partners that are in the district. We now make sure there is a total value for money. The small resource envelope that they come with go to address the eye of the problem. You are talking about tree planting. What are we proposing to a partner? We are saying our first priority to address with this tree planting is the influence of trees on the climate and weather. So how do we do this? We make sure these trees survive. And how do they survive? Our best method is what we call institutional planting. Let's plant trees in schools, in health centers, where the monitoring is easier. Planting trees by individuals is okay, but monitoring is a problem. And in most cases, you go to monitor, the story is they were burnt by wildfire. So that's where we relate with partners, and it is what is saving us for now.
It must be tough, Mr. Chairman, but the beauty is that you're a leader and you have a team of people. You can be resilient. You can work through that. I have one more question in that regard. What are the means of transport in Terego, and especially looking at the health center that you've talked about, which is only one and it's only health center for, there's no district hospital. What are the means of transport when looking at the expecting mothers? How do you manage?
We have vehicles. Sylivin, what is called ambulance, is a conglomerate of a number of things. An ambulance comprises the vehicle. It consists of fuel. It consists of a driver. It consists of nurses who should be able to accompany this referral to the last destination where this referral is supposed to end. Yes, we have the vehicles. The challenge is now the rest of the things I've counted. Fuel, even mere driver. I am sure you're aware these days, if a district wants to recruit, the permission must come from Ministry of Public Service. You write to Ministry of Public Service to say, I needed drivers for the ambulance, and you must be cleared first. If Ministry of Public Service decides to sleep for 8 months, you wait for them to be cleared to recruit. And for that reason, we don't have the wage bill to recruit the requisite number of drivers to drive these vehicles we're talking about. And sometimes I even have to allow my driver to jump in the ambulance. And I jump on a motorcycle. That's the scenario we're in. Issue of staffing, issues of fuel, issues even of the nurses. Because you are referring a patient, the nurse is in the vehicle, is going away from Terego to Arua. This is a nurse who probably had made a local arrangement for lands near the health facility, but you're now taking the nurse to Arua, where she doesn't have money, but must eat. So allowance for this nurse, maybe 10,000, 20,000, this money is not there. So those are the critical challenges we are facing as a district. A district without a district hospital. But the staff, I must say, are very committed, and they will want to see change in our district. And for your information, since we recruited our first medical officer, the Health Center 4 has also become self-referral place. Patients from other districts are now flocking into our Health Center 4 because the doctor himself is very, very committed with his work. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for indicating the commitment of the people, the commitment of the nurses, and that is certainly about human life. It is very, very key. And we are grateful to those people who are choosing to work without considering a specific pay, but making sure that human lives are taken care of. I want to take you a little bit back, although you mentioned about it, a little bit back about schools. I want to get some bit of clarity. How many primary schools do you have? How many primary schools and secondary schools do you have? And if you have the statistics of the intake and the dropouts at every level, that would be very helpful.
Oh, the district has 63 government grant-aided primary schools. We have close to 28 community schools, meaning schools that are in the hands of the community government, has no direct intervention in them. We have 8 government secondary schools, about six privately owned secondary schools. When you talk about retention, I'm sure that's what you are referring to. Retention is very poor. Retention is very poor because in the primary one, you can have over 300 learners. In a school like Mumbati Primary, you have 400 learners in P1. And you go to P7, they are less than 40. That is to show you the level of dropout. Retention is very poor. And I'm sure the next question you'll be asking is why. I have mentioned that some of them. Infrastructure is poor. You are crowding me in a classroom, over 400 learners, and yet I have my specific challenges as a human being. I am a girl, maybe I've reached the menstruation period, and sitting in that kind of manner is very uncomfortable. So the option is to go home and stay at home. Infrastructure is a problem. Teachers, the number of teachers is also a challenge. We don't have enough teachers in our schools. In some schools, until when I came on board, I found a whole P7 school had 4 teachers. So tell me what kind of learning was taking place in this kind of school? Meaning 4 teachers for 7 classes, the classes were simply rationing the teachers. So we have tried to reorganize the system, but of course, you cannot manage to reorganize this completely, especially where the numbers of teachers is very wanting the way we have. You can imagine this if you compare this. We received the visitors from Finland. You are aware Finland has the best education system now in the world. 1 teacher handling 11 learners, and this teacher must bring these learners from P1 up to P7, and in all subjects, so that the teacher is able to know the child in totality and know the weaknesses and the areas of strength. But ours, we don't have the teachers. So 1 teacher is handling 400. The question they asked was, what is happening here? Is there learning taking place? Of course, we had to pretend that there was learning taking place. That is our situation. So retention is poor because the factors, a good number of the factors are in the schools, and some of the factors are also in the community. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chairman. That must be a load, a big load, and a negative big load. And unfortunately, I don't have any kind question here, because the next one is asking now, what are you doing to the youth that are dropping out of school at an early stage? How are they being engaged in the activities, socio-economic activities? And what is the local government plan to address the education challenges?
Sylivin, I want to say our lack for now, it is temporary, is the youth love sports. A number of football clubs all over, and it is what is keeping their attention off from us. By now, we would have already started running up and down and probably being beaten on the streets, on the roads, because we are not providing services. What do we do for now? As a local government, I am sure you're aware that local governments get less than 10% of the national cake, the national budget. And yet the local governments are the face of government. So what do we do with the youth? The youth budget in a whole year, I checked, is about 12 million. Apart from put aside the youth livelihood program, which caters for a few groups of the youth. This is like 127 million for the entire population of the youth. This is mega money. However, with the partners, we are trying our best. We are trying our best to engage the youth in the groups to make sure they go for production, and some have picked up. I'm proud to report to you that last year, these youths were able, especially one of the groups was able to block tomatoes that have all the time been coming to Arua from Kampala. They were able to produce and conquer the market in Arua, save for the dry season that set in. And with the partners, we're trying to see if we can have small-scale irrigation systems for these youths, which they should be able to use and keep them busy. But for sure, the interventions and efforts are just oil drop in the sea. They are not enough. You remember, you for the biggest percentage, we need a lot of money for the youth. We need a lot of money. We will be thinking in terms of Paris development model that everybody thinks is now the the magic, but I don't see the magic in it, to be honest to you. I can be one of those to be arrested, but I think I don't see the magic in the Paris development model, because that money is small. It is small, and the way it also comes, it doesn't come with the straightforward guidelines. It is like you have kicked the ball, it is entering the post, then they tell you, the post has been shifted the other side. So it is a challenge. We continue to get confused in the implementation, and that is it. So that's the challenge, but we are trying with the youth. There are some youth skills programs. There is one also for the president, and unfortunately, it is highly political. Political in the sense, if you went to listen to the address, especially when they are closing, they are purely political, and of course they are trained without the the startup kits. So you are trained, you go home empty-handed, you don't know how to start, and the skills can remain hanging in the air. So for now, youth engagement is a big challenge and a problem. However, some of us are trying our best, and for now, I have not forgotten my proposal writing skills. I still go for it, but hopefully one partner here and there should be able to support us with this. Left to government alone, no, the resources are not there. What we receive as the local governments is too meager to respond to the youth challenge in this country and in my district.
That is another heavy load.
It is.
I will keep probing for the questions. Really, we want to understand how you manage and how you're pushing through, but also to understand the environment in which you are. So kindly bear with me, and I'll keep on questioning, and just let us know the actual truth of what is existing on the ground. The other question is about when you are elected together with your council. It appeared to me that the biggest number of council members was from ANT, and then there was a moment to have workshops being held in terms of training, in terms of understanding policies, and all other documents that are before the table of the council members. I would like to know, has that been of any value to say these workshops?
One, the majority of this council is actually predominantly is NRM. Is NRM. I have tried to do a lot of PR to make sure we work as a district, and they made sure I selected my executive across the board, depending not based on party basis, but based on who has the capacity to drive the engine of the district. It has helped me to move for these 2 years. And maybe let me give you the statistics. Out of 21 councillors, there is only one on the Alliance for National Transformation ticket. 2 are independent, the rest are NRM. But we have pulled a long way. The trainings have helped us, but our challenge for now is not internal. Our challenge is coming from Kampala. Our challenge is the people we sent from Terego to represent us in Kampala. Some of them have never believed the election results. They still continue to disturb. They still continue to manipulate the councillors to say, please, don't want to see this opposition chairman. Work out, remove the executive. Once you remove the executive, it is easier to remove him. So that frustration is being nursed around, especially by my minister. He has held meetings to that effect, but I think, you see, if you have those kind of interests and ambitions, they must all fit within the law. What does the law say? Is it possible just to remove somebody because you want your own NRM to be there? No. it must conform to the law. So that's what is same in the situation in Terego. Yes, the trainings are okay, but they need to continue coming. We need capacity building. You remember, for district councillors, there is no qualification required. Anybody can come from the village so long as he's able to speak the best local language. When he's the elections, he's in the district council. But there is a lot that he doesn't understand that happens in that house called the district council. So capacity is very key. It should be built. But unfortunately, it might be unfortunate that some of the capacities are also very hard to build. Because if you are talking about the financial terms and somebody has never completed P7, what do you do? Is it possible to start forcing this to understand what is being required of the person? No. So, yes, that can be the situation, but capacity building must continue. It is very necessary.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Capacity building must continue. It is very necessary. I do not know how you're going to deal with that minister who is not focused on the development of Terego per se, but is focused on changing the leadership of Terego so that then development can happen.
Of course, that is politics. We shall sort ourselves politically. You see, my biggest asset is the local population is solid behind what they want. So they know what is happening and they are very solid and they are upbeat. Actually, Stephen, to check. As we speak, we should have had a meeting last week convened by eminent elders from the district who are concerned about what is happening. You can imagine the district council approved the district service commission, and the IGG now is investigating the procedure. That the documents were not given, personal documents of these candidates were not given to the councillors. That's what they are now investigating. I thought they would be interested in the quality of the people who are already approved by the district council. So I don't think that's the complaint from the councillors. It is a complaint from some of these persons I'm mentioning. I don't doubt it because he wrote to Public Service Commission to block the approval. But the Public Service Commission never saw any sense in what was written and they went ahead and approved. So the people are doing their work. For the information of the country, the Service Commission of Terego is composed of very formidable persons. An ambassador, Ugandan ambassador to UN for 6 years. He chaired the second most prestigious committee of UN. That is the committee that approves the budget for UNHCR, UNICEF, those UN family members. So 6 years, this is a person who has a character to defend, integrity to defend. And their motto is recruitment based on meritocracy. That's their philosophy. So you have a Monsignor, a person who represents Catholic Church on the National Council for Higher Education for the last, who has represented the church for the last 10 years. So these are the calibers of people who are formed, but you find a sinner like me is moving around to demean them and say, these are useless people, they don't have papers. So if they don't have papers, how come really Uganda was represented by a person who doesn't have papers at the UN level? So those are our internal things that comes with the bad politicking. People think because they are in the ruling government, they should be able to manipulate everything to their advantage. But the local population understands this very well.
Fight on, Mr. Chairman. And one more other beautiful thing is that you have got the local people in support, not because you have hoodwinked them, but they are supporting you. Let me ask you a question related to the other people you are collaborating with at the district level. I'm talking about the CAO, the RDC, and many other people who are not directly answerable to you, but they're supposed to be working with you to put Terego in order in terms of development and many other things. How is your working relationship And how do you leverage on that?
My relationship with these categories is dictated by now. This other relationship I've just explained. You know, a honorable minister is a small god in our current setting and would want to manipulate everything in the district. And out of these officers from central government, his key targets now lie there. He wants an RDC who should be dancing to his tune. He wants a cow who should be dancing to his tune. He wants a dish who should be dancing to his tune. That is now the requirement. As we speak, the cow who refused this was transferred. He was transferred immediately. Then it came to the RDC. The RDC has been fighting on because she didn't see sense in what was demanded of her. She has been fighting on, and finally she has also been transferred. But I think the cow is the person I would say for now seems to be leaning the other side. But as I said, you are leaning the other side. There is a law that is in place within which you must fit. Because one, if there are resolutions that are made, you have no option but to implement them. If you don't implement resolutions, that amounts to something else, and it is questionable. And that's why probably you might have got wind that as chairman, I have written to the peers to say I need another cow. Why? Because I want things to move. Services must be offered to the people. You can imagine UPE is disbursed to school accounts in the second week of January. Head teachers are not allowed to withdraw UPE up to 1st of April. That chairman now writes formally to seek a formal explanation why the cow has not allowed schools to withdraw money to the extent that chalk even gets finished in schools. Why would this happen? 2, Public Accounts Committee of local government, of the district, as we speak up to now, is not shown in, is not working, and yet the district council approved it in 2021. So these are things that as chairman, as the chief prefect of Terego, I must be asking, and which I must really task somebody who is sent from the ministry to explain. If he's not explaining, I ask his immediate boss to do something needful, and that's transfer. As we speak, pensioners who retired last year. Sylivin, I don't know whether you are in a private business or you are a salary earner. This thing called salary is a curse. It is a curse to the extent that the moment you get used to it, you know nothing outside the salary. That's the reason why retired people, when they are given gratuity to go home with, they simply don't make sense out of it. 2-3 months, the money is over, they are yawning because they don't know business. They don't know where to invest this money. So that means the moment you are now living salary in the names of retirement, the system should be very friendly that you are switched onto pension. As we speak, the district council approved 105 million into pension. To date, people are not being paid. So these are things that we are battling locally here. And don't think the cow is acting on his own. He acts on instructions that do this, and it annoys the people of Terego to say this chairman doesn't know his work, but the people of Terego know that trick very well, very, very well. And they are even the ones saying it is so and so who is doing this. Cow is simply under pressure to do the kinds of things he's doing. And that's the biggest challenge now in the district.
So, Chairman, how does that one now come to the part of your manifesto? How do you see I can understand all those fights are certainly affecting how you wanted to execute and how you like to you'd like to execute your manifesto. In these 2 years, if has there been any some of the engagements with the people you lead to gauge the satisfaction so that we can see to what extent you're basically winning, at the same time understanding whether you're making heads, you're trying to score in terms of the manifesto that you presented?
Of course, as the chairman, I have never delinked myself from the people. I still remain a community member and still continues to engage the community in terms of dialogues. If we are taking services, I mean, we have agreed on our plan, we invite the communities to, in the locations where these services are going, to make sure they impress the services. If a classroom is coming under Dr. Deep in a school, we engage the leaders, the community leaders in that location to make sure they give their support to this kind of project. I think it is succeeding, it is going on very well. And also every project we launch it, much as there is now a very immense pressure that every project, including latrines, should be commissioned by RDCs. So that to me is not an issue because I think I have more touch with the community than the RDCs. Because we use the same latrines with them. In the evenings, the RDC is moving to a more convenient location, but I go back to the community where I come from. We're using the same latrines with them, we're the same water, we're drinking together. If I have my small coin with, I share with them the evening brews and so on, that is it. So we are with them. And I see us making headway. Much as the resources coming from government are meager, the contribution of partners is supplementary to this. And maybe one day you need to come to the district and see how far we are going in terms of implementation. And some of the things we are doing, good enough, the same monies were there, but people simply responded to them. And for instance, there was a program called the Refugee and Host Population Empowerment Program, abbreviated as REHOP, 5.2 billion. And the only thing I can see in my district that money did was attempted classroom construction, which remained at the plinth wall level. That's the ring beam, and the rest of the monies, it went. So our time, the small monies that come, we put it to the eye of the problem. If it is classroom, yes. If it is roads, and our biggest challenge is we don't have road equipment. We still rely on the goodwill of the neighbors, but of course, sometimes the goodwill doesn't come. So you are forced to remain with the funds for roads for long. And in some counties, it has become a source of temptation. But we have asked the people to vomit. Those who have eaten, they have vomited. So
good job, Chairman. One more question in this regard. Do you have a direct bus transport coming over that side? What are the means? Because I can see you're in the middle of different other districts where you were cut out, and now you're sort of a landlocked district. How are you accessed in terms of public transport?
Public transport remains a big challenge in Terego. There is no single bus service, bus companies that serves our people. Our people rely on these small vehicles, but as a leader, that's now my responsibility to think loud about this public-private partnership. How do we do it? Two, Terego being in the middle of West Nile, what does that call for? It calls for making every service in Terego attractive for our neighbors. For instance, our dream now is to make people, a big number of people traveling to Kampala from Koboko to abandon Arua route. They must use Terego route, which is shorter. What does that mean? It means our roads must be perfectly smooth enough to encourage people to use them. As of now, we are doing what we call accessibility enhancement, where there were There were roads bridges which needed to be built, even opening up new roads to make sure the road is straight from Koko, delivering somebody at the Pakwach. We are constructing bridges. As we speak, we are constructing one of 3.1 billion with the road, which will connect to the base camp, from the base camp, entire Madokolo to Pakwach. That becomes easier. Somebody will have cut about 50 kilometers traveling through Arua. So that is how we're going to be encouraging outsiders to be using our services and also coming with the facilities from outside, including buses. If a bus is full of people who are going to Kampala and it has nothing to drop in Arua, why should it pass through Arua? Can use the Sota route via Terego. So that is our dream. I think we are 50% in terms of achieving this. If that bridge is completed, the road is completed, then what will be the name of my problem in terms of that accessibility and connection?
All right. That gives the strategy on how to make sure that you are not totally landlocked, but you are actually a pathway.
Coordinational in nature.
Yes, you're trying to coordinate these other districts and sub-counties which are around you. That's very impressive, Chairman. Let me ask one of the last questions here, second last question really. How is do you have any regrets why you left the NGO world to go into politics, and now you're being thrown left, right, and center? You're just being destabilized instead of finding fulfillment in the service that you are giving to your people. Do you have any regrets?
I don't regret. First of all, my first orientation, I was supposed to become a priest. You are aware, maybe in your diocese, I don't know whether you're a Catholic or not, priests are not paid any salary. They are chief volunteers, and I wanted to be that in my orientation from especially secondary school life. On that, I dropped out of the training. When I was working with this partner, that's Fini Church Aiders, the education coordinator, I used to build every year a new house. Since I joined the politics and assumed the office, I have never constructed any single house, and I don't regret. Why? Because I am laying the bed for my retirement. When I retire, the community I'm going back to is this community that I'm serving now. That means I must work very hard to make sure the negatives of this community must be removed so that I have a safe and soft landing when I grow old. So that's what drives me to work, not money. So I don't regret, and these fights are there. They will continue to be there. And in my estimation, these political fights are always high and instigated by people who lack capacity. So when they start like this, you simply exhibit capacity. Like recently, the councillors were manipulated to come up with a petition to remove all my executive members. And what did I exploit? I just exploited the procedure. I wrote to clerk to council to find out whether these councillors, as per the rule, I think rule number 93, signed this petition in her office and before the clerk before the sergeant at arms. And it's confirmed it did not take that step. They wrote this, they drafted the petition, they were chasing councillors in the field. Chasing, you sign here, sign there. Legally, that becomes actionable. And I told them, can you leave what you are doing? Because you will cost the district. This executive will take the district to court. And they suspended it temporarily. I'm told they now felt this, I gave them guidance, they now want to redo it. But they also look for loopholes in that I'm going to patch up. I know where the loophole is. So the law is what guides. So some of these fights must be, as I said, must be fitted within the law, not individual wishes. There is a law that guides. In fact, when two people come together to stay under one roof, like a man and a woman, there needed to be a law, a written law. But ours now, the law is written and it is in our head that when you have a wife, this is how you are going to stay. The wife is supposed to do this, you are supposed to do that. It is the law that guides us. Even if you hate me 100%, your hatred must be within the tenets of the law. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chairman. I would like to hear from you what do you think people need to do going forward? Because it looks like everything is being politicized. Some people are actually shooting themselves in the foot. The very councillors you have were supposed to be looking at the community and serving it. They are only interested in uprooting some other people. Where do you see the country going? Where do you see your community going? What do you suggest people should do, especially those who have got children that they have raised or they have given birth to? And here you're speaking one to the community members, but you're also speaking to the entire nation where the problems are almost the same. Over to you.
One, our people should desist from the politics of tokenism. A wrong person coming around, but coming with the money. For instance, you have heard about the Karamoja saga, the Iron Seat saga. There are people who are beginning to say, you see, they stole these iron seats and they took it to their constituencies. Is that the right thing to do? No. There was a reason why this supplementary was passed. To support the people of Karamoja with these iron seats. If the iron seats have made their way to Terego, it is illegal. And that must be condemned in the strongest terms possible. The people must be conscientized. Their level of perceptions, we now need to build on it. People must understand why we are there as leaders, what our roles are, what we are supposed to do. A leader is not a boss, a leader is a servant. And that must be sunk in the minds of our people, the citizens of this country. They must know that an elected leader is a servant and must actually be taking orders from them. For instance, I'm the district chairman. I shouldn't be seen at the district implementing my own things that I think are this and that. I must consult with the people and I must get their priorities right. What do they want to have? If they want a classroom, I can't take for them a bar. I can't take for them a market. They want a classroom, it must be a classroom. So the rest can be negotiated and discussed later. The priority there is classroom, not a bar, not a market. So the leader, the citizenry should task leaders now. Because there is too much wastage in this country. Uganda is not poor. Uganda is not poor, and I recently went to Rwanda. Rwanda is a small country. I don't think Rwanda is richer than Uganda. From Gatuna here, Katuna, outside Katuna, up to where I went, Kibeo, there is electricity power line running parallel to the road, meaning you can even drive a vehicle at night without headlamps. Why is this not happening just here in Uganda? If it is our past history, I think Rwanda has had the most nasty history, the genocide, and it is even more recent, 1994. Ours, 1979, what we are actually, we don't deserve to explain our problems in terms of our past history. If that is a very serious thing to articulate, the Rwandan case puts us on the awkward side and offside in that explanation. We have resources, these resources must be put to the best use. You look at the 52.7 trillion, which is our new budget. Critically, half of this will go into real service delivery. The rest will go. You have seen roads. Why would you go and put a tarmac which will last for less than 10 years. And after 10 years, you are disturbing the citizens of this country for more money to repair the road. See what is between I want to say between Olio in Acholi sub-region and Arua. The road is dead. This road has not lasted for more than 15 years. Why would a person do this kind of road? Do a lasting road. I was in Masaka, I saw tarmac, which was made, I think, yes, they said it was made by President late Idi Amin. The tarmac was still there. Let's do a lasting thing. The leaders must be tasked to do this. My people, Terego must task me to do this. I am happy they have a platform on which they check on us, the leaders, every time and again. When they see something small like this, they post it on the platform, and you are supposed to respond there and then. For instance, this week the discussion has been the list of new roads to be done. Our tarmac is out. Where is our road? Money back to you. That has been the question of discussion for the whole of this week. And as leaders, we have been on our toes, patching up explanation to convince them that this road one day will come. And good enough, I've been disturbing the central government officers over the same road. And at least I am abreast with the progress. As we speak, they are doing design. The consultant that has been hired to the design has come. And I think from there, our prayer and hope is that before the next elections, we should be on tarmac. My role would be to now educate the people on how to use tarmac, because it also comes with challenges.
Educating people to how to use the tarmac. That's a very interesting one. That's very, very interesting. I would like to hear your parting shot. Would you continue to encourage somebody to be very much interested in how Alliance for National Transformation is handling itself, or you're also seeing a number of things? Probably next year, in 2026, you might want to have a different card.
That Alliance for National Transformation Party is, they say, it's a small party, an invisible party, but I think the values speak for this country. They speak for this country, and I think I have not betrayed the party in terms of my behavior in the office. We're a new district. We don't have luxury of means of transport. The LC5 chairman is given a car, and if I wanted to betray the party, I would be very pompous and move everywhere, burning fuel and so on. Sometimes I jump on the bus and move to Kampala, especially if there are vaccines to distribute in the health facilities. If there are assessments that the education team is doing in the schools. For the better half of this week, the engineering department requested for it to do supervision of the numerous projects that have been undertaken. So why would I link onto a vehicle when actually I can ride perfectly, ride myself from office, home, office to a school, to a health center? Me alone cannot be that difficult to carry. So that's what we should be doing. And that is the beauty of coming through Alliance. There is nothing like switching goalposts. The pressure has come. The pressure has always come. And I've told them, anybody who wants me to shift, put my 50 billion in front of me. I use them for doing my roads, health centers, the water systems, classrooms. And then we started engaging. First of all, this is government money that has been given. If I wanted the money, I would say, you bring my maybe 5 million or 5 billion. I put in my pocket, and then say I start minting my words. Start minting words. You now don't have any clear statement to make. That's not me. I will remain Alliance. Whether alone, I will. The Liverpool has a slogan: "You'll never walk alone." I will never walk alone. Actually, the plans are now clear to increase the number. And I want to inform you, that because of being few or alone, I have had the opportunity to move to Europe, which many of these NRM chairpersons will never do, because nobody thinks about them. They are thought about when it comes to elections. And I want to assure you, they are not a priority in this country, LC5 chairman, because they don't have the powers to impeach a president. So the relationship, the marriage, that marriage is between the president and the MPs who can impeach. It is between him and the MPs who approve the budget, who can approve supplementary budget without asking questions. So that marriage is there, not the LCV chairman. And that's what I always tell them. They are wasting their time in NRM. And I'm happy when we're in Chankwan's. I think the one of Kalaki, when the vice president said the onus now is on the LC5 chairman who are NRM to convince their colleagues to cross to NRM. He stood at the back of the hall and said, you guys in opposition, if you are comfortable where you are, remain there. We are not in heaven, we are burning without fire. There is nothing to brag about. So I had it with my own ears. Why should I start wobbling to move elsewhere? I am there. Alliance for National Transformation, where the future of this country lies. If Ugandans really want to see sense in their resources and the rest of the things.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chairman. It's been an honor and a privilege to host you today. We understand the technical challenges that were there, but we also know that you were actually coming from a barrier. That's why there was quite a number of things in the middle there, so we could not put it very right at
in
the
fact,
start.
actually, for this, I had to attach much importance to this barrier because this has been the diocesan youth coordinator. You posed the question about the youth, which is the time bomb. And this is a man who did a lot of work, and I couldn't miss his barrier. Actually, I had to drive throughout the night, move throughout the night, all the way from Busia to here to attend this barrier. You are aware, all LC5 chairman of LC3 chairman in every district, the chief administrative officers and speakers are all for ULGA meeting in Busia. So I had to forego going to Kenya, and I had to come for this barrier and also for this meeting. Thank you very much for hosting me and all those viewers who probably have their issues that I don't know whether there's an opportunity for them to raise one or two questions or not. Thank you very much.
At present, really not. There was one request which later went down because you were still speaking, but we want to appreciate your choice to give us time to speak to us and to let us know that where the ANT representatives are, they are doing what they need to do and they are not moved by tokens. Also want to appreciate the fact that you're not moved to think about another party, come rain, come shine, because you're attached to values and you're concerned about your people, nothing else but your people. I can guarantee you that we'll have to invite you another time when probably there's more technical, well set up technical elements that you continue to share with us the progress from where you are, because now we've learned what has happened from the time you were elected and what you're going through. But next time we shall also be asking for progress. Where have you been able to break through, so that we keep understanding what is capable of coming from the people who choose to join ANT without considering the token that goes to the pocket. Gladly, you've survived all those billions in your own pockets when you're amassing a number of thieves around you that would end up giving you hard time in your retirement. Thank you so much, Chairman, and I wish you the very best of the weekend. Thank you, everyone who is listening in. My name is Sylivin Gumisiriza. Chairman, I can guarantee you in the next 4 months, I'll have to invite you again. Have a blessed weekend.
Very available.